Many people today dismiss the founding fathers of America because they didn't immediately solve the problem of slavery. There is a great deal of rewriting of American history, dismissing it because of things like that. But today's revisionists don't seem to realize, as Dr. Walter Williams put it, slavery was mankind's fare from the beginning of recorded history. America wasn't unique in that there was slavery in the nation in its first several decades. It's more unique because of the high price paid to get rid of it. Meanwhile, there was a debate over the issue at the time of the founding. Some have even said that at the Constitutional Convention, there was even a nation civil war of sorts over the issue.
"13 individual colonies pulled together under the same contract, the Constitution, honored one another voluntarily. None of those colonies was forced to join."
Some of them almost refused to join. Tempers flared during that hot summer of 1787 when the Constitution was written. The Constitutional Convention almost deteriorated to a complete standstill. Many observers remarked that divine intervention helped save it. Perhaps the least religious man there was the one who saved the day by a lengthy call for prayer. The Constitutional Convention was rocked over issues of big state versus little state, and above all, slavery versus freedom. Some have noted that we almost had the Civil War during the Constitutional Convention, not 75 years later.
During the 1787 to 89 debate over our Constitution, slavery almost destroyed that gathering, coming to the conclusion and developing a document because there were individuals who fought tenaciously to get rid of the institution of slavery. And the only way the convention was saved, and it did produce our Constitution, the longest lasting Constitution of any nation in modern times, was that there was a promise if we could get a consensus on everything other than the slavery issue. And regrettably, we had the horror of the 1861 Civil War, where America lost over 600,000 individuals, 300,000 plus on the Union side, and 250,000 on the Confederacy side.
The issue of slavery could have ended the Constitutional Convention. There would not have been a Constitution and a United States. So the question is, would we have been better off with blacks? Would we have been better off without a United States or with the United States? And I say with the United States, blacks would be better off.
Some of our founding fathers actually owned slaves. There were people who had brown skin, or what we call black skin, who owned slaves as well. So you had human beings dealing with the question of oppression, the question of racism, the question of slavery, and some of them actually owned slaves themselves.
The Constitution stipulated that within 20 years of its going into effect, the slave trade in America would be illegal. No more slaves could be allowed to be imported into America. This measure, written in 1787, which went into effect in 1808, predated William Wilberforce's abolition of the slave trade in England.
The founders tried to do several things about slavery. They outlawed the trading of slaves, and so they wanted to get rid of slavery.
There was a founding father who owned slaves, who said, as they were debating the issue, slavery is wrong. And if there's a God in heaven, we're going to be in trouble for having slaves.
George Washington presided over the Constitutional Convention. He sat on a chair with a picture of the sun half risen or half setting. Benjamin Franklin thought it an apt picture. Is the sun rising on America, or is it setting? Time would tell. Throughout the entire convention, Washington presided, but spoke very little. The man who spoke the most at the convention was Pennsylvania delegate Gouverneur Morris. James Madison of Virginia kept copious notes of the convention, but these were only released upon his death. He is sometimes called the father of the Constitution. He certainly was one of its biggest advocates. He worked tirelessly to champion its cause before, during, and after the convention.
As noted, today many Americans dismiss America because the founders didn't solve the problem of slavery right there at the Constitutional Convention. But constitutional attorney Mike Farris said of today's such critics, quote, "Now we see many forces in our country, the 1619 Project and others like it, that are saying America was an illicit, improper, immoral nation from the beginning. And the reason they do that is because they say, well, look at July 4th, 1776, and we had slavery, and we had problems of inequality in other areas." Well, that's like judging a baby's life on the day it's born. America was founded on July 4th, 1776, and the ideals, such as that all men are created equal, should be our judge, end quote, from Mike Farris. He went on to ask, are we making strides toward those lofty goals? Well, the answer should be so obvious to all willing to have an open mind and examine the evidence. For Providence Forum, I'm Dr. Jerry Newcomb.